To me, art is a form of expression that solves problems. I don't like to just create a piece of art for aesthetic purpose alone. I mean, that is part of art. But recently, I started creating art for social justice. So, at every point in my life, the meaning of art changes, grows bigger and bigger. But at this point, I could say, well, it's a means of expression to solve problems, to give life to things that are meaningless, to give joy to people that are sad, and to provide socio-cultural review. My name is Dotun Popoola. I call myself the welder of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Some people call me Bari Waya, Gari, and I tell people that I transform waste to wealth, and I turn rubbish to rubies. So I was born in a family of 6 in Lagos, Agege precisely. And I was born in Agbotikuyo. Like I always say, my dad is Eriwaya. I call him Bari Waya, and my mom sells Gari. So, they were petty traders, but they were curious. They were very sensitive to my creative potentials. So they sent me to the university to study fine arts. I did my first degree in sculpture, my master's in painting. And after that, I went to the United States to learn how to weld professionally. And since then, I've always made Babari Waya and the Yonigari proud with my explorations across the globe. I got a very good partner who, we go to junkyard together to pick up scraps. My wife does that every time. And she's one of the board of directors of the Scrap Art Museum. I have been able to sink my family into what I do so that it will be seamless. I always give them my time too. So my family, they have given me all the support that I needed in this life. Right from the college, I've always loved to be a sculptor. I've always loved to create things that people find it difficult to create. Even while I was doing my master's in painting, my paintings are always either surreal or something out of normal. So, but for me to go into sculpture, I think precisely 2014, when I finished my master's degree, I was destabilized. I was confused whether to be a sculptor or to be a painter. Then I was on the internet, then I found someone whose work really fascinated, me, and I saw his work and I was like, oh my God, is it done by a human being? Then I Googled down and I saw the guy's name. His name is John Lopez. I found him online and I was like, okay, if this guy is on this planet, I'm going to find him. So I got to know that he lives in South Dakota. December 2014 precisely, I sent him a message and I said, wow, can you be my mentor? Can you be can I be your apprentice? And he said, okay, why not? I will teach you. But if you say you want to come for a residency in my place now, you're probably going to die. That was December 24. It was freezing cold there, -47. So the next year, which was 2015, I bought a ticket. I sold my car. I sold many of my stuffs. Then I flew to New York City. I got to New York City. I couldn't afford a flight to the countryside. Then I joined the Greyhound bus for 3 days and 3 nights. And the cowboy picked me up from the bus station and took me to the house, the middle of nowhere. He taught me how to weld, to do TIG welding, MIG welding, plasma cutting, and how to see critically when you're looking at materials, how to see creatively. I came back to Nigeria and started going to different junkyard. From that moment, I got into the art market in 2018, and between 2018 till now, I've never had a day of rest. It's been work back to back. I choose to explore or express myself with metal, basically, because it's a material that people find it difficult or see that it's very hard and not easy to control. I believe that in the next 100 years, when scholars are beginning to do research or critical review of my work, the sculpture will still be existing. There are different ways at which I engage with my materials. Sometimes I just create spontaneously. Sometimes I work with sketch. I would probably have a preconceived idea, put it on paper, then follow it. But most times, the one I do spontaneously comes out excellent because you don't plan it. When I started creating art, I was working with passion. But I told myself that passion will only give you joy, make you happy. But when you take your art to the level of it being your profession, then it will fund your passion. I feel that I have learned the business of art to a large extent. My financial capacity is not crumbled by anything. My 8 years of curatorial practice with the National Gallery of Art before I resigned has given me the opportunity to understand the nitty-gritty of art business. I'm fully booked till 2026. I've always believed that our environment is littered with different kind of waste. But so I focused on solid materials that are being littered in the environment. And that is why I focus more on metal. So I go to different places to pick up sharp metal objects from the gutter, from the junkyard, from mechanic village, wash it, disinfect it, and use it as a metaphor. When I started creating this series of art, my focus wasn't on sustainability. My focus was to survive. But at the time, I just discovered that my art was solving a lot of problems. And this is a problem that the United Nations, the UNESCO are struggling to solve. And I'm solving them easily. The amount of metal scrap that I take away from the environment is enough to make a statement. And I will tell you this with statistics. If you measure any of my work, the weight, sometimes you could have like 2,000 kg, which means I have been able to eradicate 2,000 kg of waste. Then that took me to creating what we call artist statement. An artist statement talks about the purpose, you respond to all the questions about your creativity. Technically, the Western world considered us as the junkyard of the West. Any car that is dead in Canada, in the US, in Europe, everywhere, is being dumped here. So for me, as an artist, I buy those cars that are dead from the scrapyard, from the junkyard, then I turn it to art, and I ship it back to them. And the cycle is continues like that. At the time, I had about 500. I better pass my neighbor generator. And all the tanks is what I use to create the background there. Now, each generator produces carbon monoxide, right? And these are dangerous to our ecosystem. Now, when this generator dies, they trash them maybe on the side of the road or anywhere, and you will see that the aboki will pick it up, take it to the junkyard, and the junkyard people will probably crush it. They don't even think of creating something beautiful out of it, probably want to recycle it, So I thought of repurposing the large amount of waste that threatens the ecosystem. And that is what brought about the series of works that I've been doing the last time. So as I'm solving the environmental problem, I'm doing art therapy. And at the same time, I'm making living for my neighbor, providing money for people that are working with me. Nigeria generates 32 million metric tons of waste every month. And that is a lot. There are a lot of statistics that shows that in the year 2050, Nigeria will have generated a lot of waste that could fill the whole country. So if this problem is not solved now, we're going to just be living inside debris. And we're going to be inhaling poisonous gas. My African heritage is what I'm really proud of, and it has greatly influenced my heart. You would see in my works that most of my works have the history of our people. I use my work to document folktales, folklores, and the lost icons and symbols in Africa. Sometimes I put CBD in my work. Sometimes I put the Adinkra symbol from the Ghana in my work. And sometimes I put the honor motifs to ornament my works. My work has really metamorphosed. I do more of zoomorphic representation. And what do I mean by that? Zoomorphic representation has to do with using animals to tell a story. For instance, if you call somebody Omoekun, it means that a son of a lion. That means the person has the potential, the capacity, or the zodiac sign of a lion. I had creative block and I stopped making those animals. I want to interact with nature. I want to make flower. I want to make human being. I started buying antique cars, vintage cars. So most of my pieces that are iconic, there's always earring in front of them. Earring Kunle, metal plenty for us. Earring Ola, metal has brought wealth. Earring Kwemi, metal favors me. Earring Kemi, metal pampers me. So earring Ola was one of the first pieces I did when I started the adventure into this scrap iron sculpture. And it's a beautiful dog at the Legend Hotel in Lagos. My first exhibition was in the US. That was 2013. And from 2013 till date, I've done exhibition every year in the US. And it has always been a sold out. Every year since 2013. Then I've exhibited in Marrakesh, in Morocco, Gujarat, India, in the Salt Desert, Qatar, Bahrain, Dubai. I've exhibited in Ghana. I'm more proud exhibiting in Nigeria because the blood that runs in my vein is green color. Yeah. But, it makes me happy that the rest of the world are able to share from my creative ability, my creative potentials. Early this year, around January 2nd, I got a call from Hida Aliyev Center. It's a presidential museum in Azerbaijan. And I was invited to come showcase my sculpture for a solo exhibition. Now, it is not easy for an artist to create a body of works like this for solo. But I can tell you this, I started preparing for a solo exhibition since 2000. I did one in 2000, which went viral. Then after that, I started preparing for another one. But I didn't know where I was going to do it. All I just knew is that the kind of works I wanted to do is going to be big, not for indoor, it's going to be for outdoor. When the museum called me, I just told them that, okay, I'll tidy up my works and get ready for this show. The next month, which was February, they flew me to Azerbaijan with my wife and I went to see the space. So my work is going to be showcased for 6 months. And that will be the first time my work is going to be in a museum for 6 months.